we weren't supposed to be at Gillette. So, all right. So we wanted to do a show. It wasn't like January. I think we wanted to do it.
Well, yeah.
initially.
The whole issue with the actual event of having any show in the winter kind of period is that Reggie being our like home court, them being a track center for a bunch of collegiate meets,
Right.
we're not able to necessarily grab any date whatsoever in the winter.
Yeah, they're closed off the whole
So
winter.
it leaves us with like a huge gap, especially considering like that's like the shopping period for a lot of people.
Want to buy stuff, right?
So people want to buy stuff, and we know like our summer shows are going to be our pinnacle. The summer shows are going to be like our biggest shows just naturally because everyone's home. You know, everyone wants to do something in the summer. It's nice out. It's like, all right, yeah, I'll go to that event. I'll go to this event. We've been growing at like a pretty rapid pace over the past couple of events for the past year or two. And the past venues that we've used for winter, like every single winter, we're not able to use the last space we used.
Yeah.
So for example, we were at the Tobin Community Center 2 years ago. That doesn't work anymore. Then that next year was the IBEW,
hall, yeah.
Yep, in Dorchester. That didn't even work as is, you know what I mean?
Size, yeah. I spent, and Joey spent, countless hours. I called every single facility that you could find, like, in the whole Boston area, right? And we actually had one. We were going to be at the Melnia Cass in Roxbury. It's like a big, what used to be, it's now like a recreation center, right? So it's a big space.
Yeah, it's a DCR building.
It's a DCR
state
yeah,
building.
And it was gonna work. It was gonna be cool. We had the date all locked in. The guy who runs everything over there, really nice guy. Everything was all good to go. But however, with a state building, it needs to go through the state like kind of offices, right? So that was supposed to be February 9th. Everything was cool with the Melnia Cast. I just needed an approval from them. So I called the state office. Like, oh, hey, this is Jonathan DiModica with Boston Got Soul. I know you guys left a voicemail. Just wanted to confirm, we're ready to announce things. I think we were going to announce things like, we were going to announce things that Sunday.
That's why.
We were going to announce it that Sunday, and this is like Wednesday. We'd already announced we're going to announce the event this Sunday. And people get really excited about this stuff, right? So everyone's ready, and I'm just like waiting on this state confirmation. But, they say like, oh, it should be good. Like, there's no reason they wouldn't confirm it.
At this point, we've already been working through like our media team, with our marketing team. Like everything's like ready to go. It's literally just
the flyer's made.
Yeah.
Flyer's made, media's ready, marketing's ready, everything's ready to go. So I get this call like, hey, this is so and so at the DCR. Really sorry to tell you that we can't have your event. We couldn't approve the date for your event because I don't know, some reason, because it was in the first quarter of the year and they could only have certain amount of events in the first quarter of the year because it's a recreation center, right? So first things first for recreation, the Melnia Cast was. So I went back to the house and I'm doing research. I have a whole spreadsheet of like hundreds of spaces, whether it's a track center, a convention center, a big gym, doesn't matter. I have with the contacts and the date availability for every single one. Nobody has anything until like April.
And I remember Jonathan called me, and like obviously because we're not together at this point, and he calls me and he's like, hey, like you're not gonna believe what happened. I go, what? Like, I'm thinking like I'm not thinking anything to this magnitude. He goes, yeah, the event like can't happen at the Melnia Cast. And he goes, oh, just check the spreadsheet. I jump on my laptop, check the spreadsheet, and like it's just all red. Like he highlighted it all red.
Every single one, like, because I'd go through, I'd call this person, we're not available till April. We want February, we want to be in January, never mind February.
Yeah.
So April's no good to us. I'll put red. Oh, it's too much money. Oh, we'll put red. Oh, this and that, red, right? There's hundreds of them, all red, and there's maybe like 4 yellows. Yellow is like, we could do it. We don't want to do it there. Only because of, maybe it's too expensive, or maybe we don't want this specific date, or maybe the size, whatever it may be. Or maybe it's not exactly in the Boston area, right? And there's a few yellows, and one of those yellows is Gillette Stadium.
And
right?
Gillette at that time was like a big yellow for us because like it kind of like played the limits of all of our kind of scenarios.
Yeah, every single thing.
Size, location, price. I mean, you can
imagine.
Yeah, you can imagine.
Yeah. So I mean, all these things that didn't seem realistic. And we like dreamed of stuff like this. Like I remember like years ago, like imagine if we ever did an event at Gillette. We'd know that we really made this. Like 14, 15 year olds. You know that we really made it, or like that. It's been a dream ever since I was in like middle school. I remember I say to Joey didn't entertain it as much at first because, Joey. I look up at the stars sometimes, and Joey's looking right ahead of us. Like we got to do this right now because he's. He has to keep me in check a lot of the time because he's like, you're talking about, having 10 million people at this event, you know. Like if it wasn't for him, I'd be in the cloud somewhere, like with nothing done, right?
Yeah.
But you know, so I'm like, Joe, like, what do you think about Gillette? And Joey, you know, being the dude he is, he's like, you know, like, oh, you know, that's too much money, or it's, you know, not in the immediate space, like we can't do it there, we gotta do somewhere else.
Because the thing with like me is like, he always likes like the fluffy, like high up, like kind of, okay, we can do that, we can do this, but like with me at the end of the day, I'm a very like operational and very like concrete, set my way guy. So like if like I hear like, oh, let's do Gillette, like I need to see the final price, I need to see the final size, I need to see like the final logistical overview of where we're going to be, in this case being a venue.
Right.
And you know what I mean, he'll be like, oh, we can make this work, we can make that work, and I was like, all right, but like I have to see it in front of me first, because like if I can see it and we can visualize it, then it's gonna be good.
At this point, there's like 3 or 4 options, and the other options are terrible, right? They're like, we got to get something together, because we had said like, hey guys, we're not announcing the event, we're gonna postpone the announcement. Everyone's pissed, you know, as they should be, right? I'm pissed, he's pissed. And so we're like, you know, we're gonna have something soon. So now we're scrambling, like we need something, right? And we hadn't had an event since October, so this is like a 4-month gap. It's a big gap for us. I make the call over to Gillette Stadium. I remember I was with my girl, and I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna call him. Let's see what happens. I make the call, like, hey. She's like, oh, hey, how you doing? I'm like, you know, can I come take a look at the space? And I'm thinking like, you know, worst comes to worst, it's not worth it. You know, we got a tour of Gillette, right? It'll be cool. So from there, you know, it was really just like a logistical thing, and I remember, so now there's this spreadsheet we're going back to, you know, hundreds of different venues, and now Joey's starting to believe in it. So when Joey's believing in it, like, you know, that we can do it, I'm like, now I'm getting really like, let's do it. But anyways, I'm even trying to bring myself down and look at all these other spaces, like, you know, what if we do this? What if we do this space? Joey's like, and it took Joey actually and my dad to look at me, you know, because I look at my dad like he is everything I want to be and more, right? So and him as well. These two people are like my biggest role models in life. So when these two, I kept saying like, yo, let's look at this place, let's look at that place. And when they start to tell me, yo, stop looking, you know, like you found the place, you know, you might lose money, you might not go exactly how you want it to be, but like do it because it's your dream, right? And you know, the whole thing is just, you know, follow what you love the whole time and you'll be fine. And I remember I made the phone call, and I was like, you know, we're in, right? And that was like one of the scariest moments of my life.
It kind of like, now like actually talking about it kind of like circles me back to our first event ever.
Right.
And because I remember like we obviously didn't really have any kind of social media. We were 15 and 13 at the time. Yeah. And for our first show in 2013, and I remember like just like me and Jonathan, I think it was like a week before, 2 weeks before maybe, and Jonathan's like shaking, like we don't, you know what I mean, we don't have pre-sale, like we have some money from like vendors. We had like 18 vendors at the time.
Yeah, 18. Yeah,
18 vendors. It was at the Villa Victoria Center for the Arts, and we needed, I think, like, what was a rough estimate?
200 people to come.
Yeah, we needed like 100 people to break even.
Right.
But like at the time being, like our parents didn't give us any of this money. You know what I mean? This is all money from like us reselling sneakers, cleaning sneakers, like whatever.
Yeah.
And
every dollar I ever
this was
had,
like kind of
right?
like the same talk.
Yeah.
And Jonathan looked at me, goes like, I don't know. Like now I'm in the context of, oh, should we do Gillette or should we do this other venue for this time? But back then it was, oh, should we do the event or like never
do the event.
And now he's telling me all that. He's talking crazy. He's like, all right, like we can just pull out.
I was about to call the venue. I had the phone in my hand. I was about to call the venue and cancel the event 2 weeks before, because we had never run an event. I was like 14. I just turned 14 years old. Like I'm in 8th grade. You know, we had like no pre-sales because people don't buy tickets to events until a few days before. Like if you go to any event, right? And I was about to make the phone call. I'll never forget. I look at Joey, he's like, don't make the phone call. Same exact thing he says, pretty much. It's funny, I didn't even think about it. Same exact thing. You know, like, we'll probably lose money, but, like, that's not what it's about, right? Let's, you know, really have this experience and let's do this and say that we did it, right? Same exact thing, and it ended up killing it, just like Gillette did, right?
Both tenfold in respect of, like, each of their contexts. For example, like, that was our first show ever. We ended up having a little bit over 300 people there. Yeah. And like that was funny, a long
Gillette,
shot.
A little over 3,000 people, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and like the whole experience was just really crazy, really surreal. Like, you know, brands like Reebok and you know, Rejuvenator and Supplex reaching out to us to sponsor.
Microsoft.
You know, all these big names that wanted to get involved. All these, you know, I think we had 260 tables. Like, that's crazy. Our first event was 18 tables, right? Yeah. And I remember pulling up to the venue the day of the event, and like I almost like shed a tear like that morning, because like everything kind of just hit at once, because it all seemed fake. It didn't seem like it was real. Like we were really gonna have.
I had a little mental breakdown
during the event. Had a moment because like,
I don't ever go into the events really. I go in for maybe like 20 minutes.
Because he runs the front door.
15 minutes.
Like the tickets.
And so like I do like the vendor load and the tickets and everything else logistically up front. And then like once they get by me, Jonathan does the pretty stuff. You know what I mean? He can do the raffles, he can do the marketing, he can do the panel discussions, he can do the giveaways, he can talk to all the vendors. You know what I mean? He's very good at that. And we've been able to separate those roles. But when I went up there, like what I usually do, I usually have a tour of my own event. You know what I mean? So like I'll go up there. And so I went up there. I remember going up the escalator, and it just hit me like there was like 15 screens right away. It said, you guys obviously saw it, like it was the Boston Got Soul logo, and then the follow us, Boston Got Soul logo, follow us. And I looked at it and I was like, this isn't my event. And so like I was with no one, you know what I mean? I just kind of walked through. No, like everyone was like, oh Joey, what's up? Like how you doing? Like I'm like, yeah, how you doing? Like, but like I couldn't even like conversate with anyone, because like how shell shocked I was at my own event. And so I wasn't even like maybe 10 feet into the venue. So like I walk by like the first initial crowd, and then I just see the field. And then I just see, like, as you look down that long hallway, just all the TVs, all the Jumbotrons, everything saying Boston Got Soul, everything branded perfectly, everything going so smoothly. And not that our events aren't smooth and that they don't go well, but like it just had a different feel to it, rather than being in a community center gym or community center track. You know what I mean? And so just walked down, and then I walked back down to like alleviate him. Okay, like your shift's done. You know what I mean? Go do your thing. And I literally just looked at him, and I couldn't I just came down almost in shambles. Like he thought like something bad happened. He was like, "What's wrong, bro?" Because like I looked lost.
Yeah.
And I was like, "I'm lost. Like this is an animal." You know what I mean? This has become something that we wouldn't have never imagined in 2013.
Yeah, it's a dream and more. So like I'm a huge Kanye West fan, like, you know, my favorite artist ever, and like he had, you know the album My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and it's like, you know, all like the work that he went through to put that together, and ended up being like his most beautiful piece of work ever. And like it felt that not that it would be the most beautiful piece ever, but like all the work and everything that went into this one thing, and then for it to come out with like what I call like the runaway. Right, like this one beautiful piece of like art that it felt like to us, of like this huge event with so many moving pieces, so many people, so many names involved at such a historic venue like Gillette. It's like it was just so beautiful. Like regardless, put the money aside, put the following aside, and it's just like the impact. It was just so beautiful.
Everything is a collector's item coming from Supreme. So anything that Supreme drops is gold. We're gonna go into StockX, Supreme, Teddy Bear, and Bear.
These two.
Right here we go. Bam.
Oh, somebody asked him what Teddy Bear was.
So currently going for
I
about
couldn't, because it said right
240.
Yeah, there's no one. 220.
40.
Yeah, I told him like.
Hold on.
These are nice.
10 and a half. You ever seen those?
10 and a half, 9. I've seen
Those are
these.
from, they were a House of Hoops release in Brooklyn, right when Nike ID first started. You see, they got Nike ID on the box. That was the only store you could get them at, was House of Hoops in Brooklyn.
It's like
I got
what are these called?
Tony the Tigers.
Tony the Tigers. Yeah, I was gonna say it's like a tiger theme.
Yeah, man.
These are dope, man. 10 and a half too.
10 and a half.
I'm a 10. They probably would fit me too.
Primo frames, curated selection of vintage designer frames, with everything from New Millionaires to vintage Fendi, Cartier, Gazal, Hilton. We got a nice selection for the show. $100. They come with a nice custom cloth and a Primo frames case. I come from a long family of people who do sunglasses and frames. Pretty much, I just kind of found my own lane. I'm like the finishing touch of the drip, you know what I mean? So people come to me to pretty much finish off the look, give some frames to just pretty much make the outfit stand out and really just make it pop.
The first time I sold a pair of sneakers, I got a pair once for $160. sold them for 300, made 140 bucks. And I said, there's a lot of money to be made in this. And then the rest is history. And my coolest sneaker, if I had to say, we got some DB5s right here, come with the laser. DB, if you know what it is, it's for kids with cancer. So it has a very big meaning behind it. Bigger than shoes, bigger than money. Alley Mays, you got the satin. I just like a lot of different things about shoes. Patent leather, like all flavors, you know what I'm saying? As you can see, you just gotta get what you think's the best out here. A lot of money to be made, you just gotta know how to make it.
When we go outside, we're gonna go down to near the Optum Lounge. I'm gonna bring it down the field, but here's a chance to look at the banners from over here, 1, 3, 4, 14, and 16.
If you could redo anything throughout your transition, the transition from your passion to your business, what would it be and why? I'm gonna ask John that question. So if you could redo anything from your transitioning from that passion to your business, what would you change?
Nothing. And it's cliche to say, but you know, we all got to where we're at now because we took the steps that we did, right? And I wouldn't change any of it for the world. And as he was saying, there's ups and there's downs, and you know, there's nights where you're sitting tearing your hair out, like, what do I do to do it better? And there's times where you're on cloud 9, right? And that's the love of it, because without the ups and downs and without all the mistakes that you made, you could never be on cloud 9, right? So, you know, everything that I did up to this point led to this moment right here. So I wouldn't change a thing, and I mean that, honest to God.
What about you, Scott? Would you change anything from your transition from this passion to now a successful business?
I mean, in hindsight, everything's 2020. There's plenty I would change, but I would go about it the same way, just like Jonathan said, because you're led by your passion. The road can change with every decision you make in life. So, you know, and like I said, going back, I could change a lot of things to be a little more successful, but I'm very happy with the way things have progressed in 4 years. And the culture's like Roberto said, touching on something Roberto said, people see you with 1, 2, 10, 12 pairs, but you still don't have their pair. They get mad at you. But then those same people are trying to come into somebody else's world because everything has resale value now, from a piece of gum to, I mean, didn't they sell air that Kanye breathed?
Yeah.
Come on,
Scream,
man.
cough drop.
So, I mean, things are only worth what people are willing to pay.
Right.
Touching on what Jamil said about the aftermarket of all these shoes. But like he also said, not many people got anything for retail this month. And if you did, your own friends are charging you more money to get it. So support the local businesses.
How about you, Joe? Would you change anything from now your transition from passion to now business?
Yeah, I would have pulled the trigger and rented this place out a month ago. That's it, man. Honestly, it's the same answer as them. I don't think I have anything to add to that. But yeah, great job with the event.
What's the sneaker that started it all for you guys?
1985 Air Jordan 1s.
Black Cement 3.
Actually, 7 years ago from this Monday, February 18th, was my first pair ever, white cement 4s. So crazy to see how it's gone.
First pair is my grandmother. Taxis. She bought me a pair of taxis, man. She gave me a blank check. I'll never forget the day. I went to the mall. I was like, how much for those Jordans? And she's like, it's like, I know you. And I was like, oh, you do? He's like, yeah, $100. I wrote the check. Ended up leaving the store completely decked out in Jordan, man. Taxi 12s. Not my favorite sneaker, but that was my first Jordan.
And then mine would be the Fire Red 4s. I was 16 and my mom actually camped out with me. So the Fire Red 4s, yeah, she held me down, which is pretty cool.
Dope show, first of all. With the climate of social media and apps and being able to, consumers being able to sell their stuff online, where does that stand for the either reseller or, for events like this? Where do you see it going in the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now? And has it changed the way we are consuming, just sneakers and apparel? Do you see it being something good or a bad thing?
I think it's going to get oversaturated soon, and only the strong will survive, is what I'm going to say. Because we come to these shows, and this is where we win, you know what I mean? At the sneaker shows, you know how it is. This is the underground culture kind of the world, and this is where people got to move shoes. We got stores trying to resell. We got everybody trying to resell. You just got heard about the Foot Locker deal. So it's all getting kind of silly right now, but I feel like it's going to get oversaturated, and only the strong will survive. So I guess we'll see who sticks around, you know. I think the sneaker shows is where it's at, though. This is what's going to keep us grounded, and whoever's not here is just, you know, sink or swim kind of. But I think it's definitely going to get oversaturated, though, for sure.
I'm a big fan on experience, you know, so product is product, right? If you could buy product A for $270 here and you know, why would you buy it at the same product for $290 or $300 somewhere else? That's obvious, right? And just because we've been given more availability to those price points to markets doesn't mean that the game needs to change, right? But it does push people, right? Because a reseller can't be a reseller the way they used to be, where if you have the product, you're good, right? Being a reseller is being an entrepreneur in the aspect where you have to take care of your clients. You have to take care of the people that, you know, buy from you. You have to give people an experience, right? If someone puts on a sneaker show and it's just strictly a sneaker show, buy, sell, and trade, it won't do as well because there's no experience, right? All this is about, the reason why we wear the shoes we do, the reason why we wear the stuff we do, listen to the music we do, watch the sports we do, is because they make us feel a certain way, right? And that's what all this is based upon, right? Because when you turn it into just product, it doesn't do anything anymore. So entrepreneurs and sneaker sellers and people who run shows, they just got to work harder and be creative.
It's a gift and a curse in both ways to look at it, because you can have a gimmick that'll put you over the top. There's certain things that you can gimmick and make it happen. Now you say if this price is $270 and this one's $290, but convenience comes a long way. You could walk to the corner store and pay $3 for some eggs, or you can go to Market Basket and pay $2, but you're gonna get in your car and use some gas to get there. So everything evens out at the end of the day. I think the apps and things like that are pretty bad for the culture, because you have people who have no love for this, trying to make $20, $30, ruining our culture, things that we've been building for years. So I don't think everyone should be a reseller. No, I don't. Does StockX help me? Of course. I buy everything cheap because of StockX. I love StockX. But I don't sell a damn thing on there, I'll tell you that. That's guaranteed.
So it's gonna sound crazy because this is what I do for a living, right? But you got to think about how StockX actually came in and leveled the playing field. So if in San Francisco you could get $400 for an item that in Massachusetts you could get for $300, now you can get it at the StockX price around the globe, right? And that kind of helped create a market, create an actual like reference point. All right, the last time this sold for this much. It's an index. At the end of the day, we're trading sneakers the way people trade stocks and bonds, and that was his whole mentality for creating StockX, and it's realistically one of the go-tos for almost anybody who's reselling anything, right? Unless it's very rare, then you're gonna have to dig a little deeper. But at the end of the day, they started out by pulling all the data from eBay of what that item sold for, was the last time it sold, and that they were just literally just giving you that information, and you could make your own judgments. As they created their marketplace, now people sell. Now they have their own data. They don't even need eBay data anymore. They know the last time it sold that minute because they sold it. They can just insert it there, give you that information, and now you know what to sell your sneaker at. You can actually look back and see how at what was its peak, what was its low. I mean, it's a lot of information. It sucks if you don't want to go do your homework, but if you want to do some homework, you could make some money. And the stores get to dump all their stuff, right? They get it at 48% off, and if it doesn't sell, they sell it at retail. It looks like they're killing the game, but they're doubling up. That's a hustle. If you could double up, you would too.
Like me and Jonathan have been talking about, like, we started this when we were like 15 and 13. And like now looking back at it, like the amount of people that laughed at us in our face, like you can't even like try to imagine or kind of quantify the amount of people that actually like physically laughed in our faces. They're like, this is gonna be
How old are you?
Yeah, how old are you? This event's gonna be a joke. No one's showing up to this event. You don't know what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Get lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then again, we had perseverance, and you know what I mean? We put our nose down and put our head down and just kept going. We just put our horse blinders on and just went. We chased our dreams, and I think that's the biggest piece of advice that I could give anyone, regardless of what you're doing. Just don't ever take no.
Right.
because nothing's impossible, and like we truly mean that. I mean, you can even see it through your local lemonade stand. Our most recent merchandise was like the Kids Run the World hoodie,
right?
And it simply says everything you want to see on the back.
Right.
You know what I mean? That basically describes that huge block paragraph that he woke me up at 4 a.m. in the morning. He FaceTimed me, and I had an exam the next morning at 7:30. But you know, so
sorry.
No, you're fine. Well worth it.
Inspiration
Well
kicks.
worth it. But yeah, no, that's it. It really is. It's just go. You know what I mean? Don't ever look back. Don't ever second guess yourself. Just go.
Yeah. If I had to put it into 3 bullet points, it would definitely be like chase your dreams. Like we'll never be able to emphasize that enough. Work hard. Like, too many people want things handed to them, or too many people think things are going to be easy. If you're chasing your dreams and you're working hard at it, you could never lose. And the third thing would be is just stay positive. Like, positive energy, and you know, having love for what you're doing and having love for the people involved in what you're doing, you could never lose. So if you work hard, chasing your dreams and with positive energy, you could literally never ever lose. Just don't ever let anyone tell you what you can and can't do, because only you could tell yourself that. And just chase your dreams unapologetically. That's it, and you'll win.